Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, My Social Thread. My name's Crystal and welcome. Thank you for everybody who has subscribed to date. If you don't already subscribe and you are liking my content, please do kindly like, click and subscribe. It all adds up and it all means a big difference in terms of my videos getting out there to other viewers. So today is my roundup of the month of November, and I will just be going through all the garments I have made up this month. It's not as productive as my previous months. I have made one, two, where was the stuff on here? 3, 4, 5 items. It was supposed to be 6, but that item is a coat and that is still a work in progress, so I can show you parts of that. Actually, I've only just cut it out because I have had to adapt the pattern slightly, but I will talk about that later on. So first and foremost, the first thing that I made is the Bakerloo dress by Nina Lee London, and the pattern is here. And this is quite old now. I would say it's about, I don't know, 2 years old, maybe even more. And the main style feature here is this big large collar. So basically the variations are a dress or a blouse. Both have bust darts, they have poofy sleeves, elasticated cuffs, that aren't at the end. It's kind of like probably like an inch or two above your wrist, so you have like a ruffle at the end, and obviously you can change the length of that as you please. The blouse version is slightly longer and slightly wider. The bodice for the skirt is slightly narrower, and then it's like a gathered skirt attached there. There is a ruffle around the collar and it ties with the only fastening you have is like a hook, not a hook and eye, like a loop, as I think it's called a rouleau loop, and a button at the back to fasten it. And there you go. This pattern goes from a UK size 6 to a size 20. Measurements are UK size 6, bust of 32, waist of 24, all the way up to a size 20, bust of 46, waist of 38. Does it say if it's a simple pattern or not? I think the actual dress is quite simple, but the most difficult, or I wouldn't say difficult, the most fiddly thing to do is the collar. And I think the collar alone, just making that took me a whole evening, like a good 3 hours, I think, to do, because I did make some mistakes and I had to redo some parts of it. Apart from that, instructions are very straightforward. In terms of pattern pieces, you just have the front piece, which is cut on the fold. The back piece is cut into two. There's a center back there, so it's two of the same piece, and that allows for the opening and the loop and button. And then you've got the collar pieces and the sleeves and the skirt. So quite a simple sew, apart from the collar, as I say, although I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner because of the collar alone, especially because it's the main design feature of the dress. You don't really want to be sort of messing that up. I decided to go for the size 14 in this, and in hindsight it's too big for me. I should have gone for the size 12, and the reason I went for a size 14 is I have put on a bit of weight recently, a good 2 stone actually, so that I just thought, you know, why try to squeeze into something smaller and not be comfortable? Let's just make something bigger and be comfortable in it. But it turns out a 12 would have fit me quite happily. So for my next time that I do make it, which I will be making it again, I will go down to a size 12. And it has pockets as well, which is lovely. And yeah, let me show you my version. So this is my version here. I mean, look at that collar. That is magnificent, isn't it? It's made up in a what is this called, a viscose from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn, black background with sort of bunches of flowers, kind of ditzy but a bit larger than ditzy really. And then I've just used some plain viscose to accentuate the ruffle, accentuate the collar. So I've used black viscose for the ruffle. And then you have a rouleau loop and button there. And that's the opening so you can get yourself in, and center back seam. Darts are there. Puffy sleeves with an elasticated cuff, and the gathered skirt. I've also added waist ties to mine. They don't come in the pattern, but they're literally self-drafted. I think I normally do like an inch width by the length that you want, and then I just make up my ties myself. What about this pattern? Okay, first and foremost, I like the pattern. I think the collar, I'm not entirely sure that it suits me because it's a bit too large. So the next time I make it, I am going to decrease the collar by about an inch. So let me show you an inch. I am going to, so basically I am going to decrease the collar by 1 inch. So basically the end of the ruffle will now be here. So just pretend the ruffle is gone, and that's how wide the collar will be with the ruffle the next time I make it. I was going to decrease it by 1 inch all the way around the collar, but then a viewer of mine obviously said, which I failed to realize, if I decrease it here, then that won't then, the points here won't then match. So I am just going to decrease the collar all the way on the outside curve, but I will leave this the same. And I think that would suit me a lot better. Also, I'm loving the gathered sleeve heads on here, which I love. For those of you that follow me, you know that I love a gathered sleeve head, and I try to gather as many sleeve heads as I can. And so the reason also why I want to make the collar a bit smaller is because I wanted to show off the sleeve head a bit more. But even I think with a smaller collar, you probably won't get the sleeve head showing, but it doesn't matter. I will try it with a smaller collar, and I think that would suit me a lot better. The other thing that I wanted to change maybe was this rouleau loop here. I find it quite chunky. So basically it's similar to the waist tie in terms of the length, in terms of the chunkiness, and then you just cut a small piece and you make a little loop for your button. I think it's quite chunky there. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's quite chunky, so I'm thinking I could just make Tilly and the Buttons do, you can do like a belt loop just by almost crocheting 4 strands of threads together to make a belt loop or a rouleau loop. And I've got an example here. Sorry. Nearly fell off the chair. Sorry, I try not to edit my videos as much as possible because it does take time to edit, and also I think it's a lot more natural, hence the almost falling off the chair. So this is sort of I would describe it as almost crocheting. So it's a tiny little crocheted loop there. And I think that's just a bit more dainty and a bit more nicer for a, so that's that one there for my previous dress that I made. So I think I'm going to do that for the next time I do the back of this Bakerloo dress. And the only other thing is, I think that's the only changes I will make. Oh, also the sleeve is very important. So the sleeve is actually really, really big. I will show you the sleeve piece. It's actually really, really big. So this is the sleeve piece here. So I think the gathers, so that because this is quite high, this is called the sleeve head. It's lovely and high, and that's always a good indicator. Where it's lovely and high, there's a lot of gathering. It's a gathered sleeve, which I really like. This is quite wide, but if you see, it gets wide. Normally a sleeve would get narrower, but this gets wider and wider and wider and wider. So it is really, really poofy. I did do the original sleeve like this, but then it was too poofy for me, so I had to narrow it down. And all I did is I got the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra long sleeve, and I put it on top, and I drew the lines for it, and show you the lines. So this is the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra line all the way down here, and the same on the other side. So it's a good, how many inches? Let me check for you. Gosh, it's a good 5 inches at the bottom that I've taken off, and then that obviously tapers up to the top. In terms of the length as well, I will take off a good inch as well at the bottom, and I quite like the look of that sleeve now rather than the billowy sleeves. I do like a billowy sleeve, but I think with the collar being so large and the ruffle, plus the billowy sleeves and the gathered sleeve head, I think it might just be a bit too much for me personally, all in one dress. Although those features are features that I do like, but perhaps not in that combination. So I'll definitely use the slim down sleeves for the next version I make as well. Let me pop up some pictures of myself wearing it. And this was made in collaboration with Caroline, and I'll pop up her picture as well. Her Instagram tag is CMC202, and she is a part of the Jenny Stitches brand ambassador group, which I'm a part of as well. And that's how we met each other. So we've just done this in collaboration with each other. And what else was I going to say? Oh, the thing I do like about this as well, you can't really see, but the bust dart there is a perfect height for me. So normally so the apex is right there, and I know that's quite low, but it's perfect. It's actually the first dress where, probably not the first dress, but one of the dresses where the bust dart actually hits my apex. Normally my apex is here and the bust dart is like up here because, you know, I'm not like a young Anyway, so my apex is here and the normal apex is up here, but this bust up perfectly connects with my apex, which is really, really great. And yeah, no, it's a really lovely dress. So the one thing I wanted to talk about, I spoke about the sleeves already, is the actual collar. So the collar, it is quite fiddly. Well, I found it quite fiddly anyway. So you've got a collar piece, which is this. So that's, you get one for this side and one for the other side. And then you get another pattern piece, and it's called the ruler for the collar frill. But it says don't cut out fabric in this. Now, I normally look at the pattern sheet before I cut things out, just to make sure I kind of understand, you know, what the pattern pieces are, like front, back, sleeve, blah, blah, blah. For this particular piece, I didn't really know what to do with it, because without reading the instructions fully, I didn't know how this would kind of factor in. And basically what it is, according to your size that you cut out, the frill is a rectangular piece of fabric, and then you fold it over, gather it to make the frill. And then once you've gathered it, you need to make sure that it fits this whole entire length of the ruler, so that when you put it around the collar, as such, all the way around the collar, it then fits all the way without you having to pin, realize it's too short, you know, undo it, adjust the gathers, pin it again, realize it's too long, undo it, do the gathers. So that's actually quite a nice little kind of pattern piece, so you're not forever pinning, unpinning and regathering. So that's what that ruler is for, which is great. So now, with regards to the collar, what you do is this, let's just pretend this is the bottom collar, this is the top collar. You fold them right sides together, with the frill on the inside, and then you sew it down, and then you turn it inside out, and the frill should come out quite nicely as such. So now when you get to the corners, I'm trying to show this to you as best as possible. So this is the frill here. Obviously it's paper, so it's hard to turn around. So the frill would go all the way around this way, and then you've got your other top collar that goes on top, and you have to sew all the way around. The only problem I have is basically because of this corner, you have all this extra fabric here. So you need to make sure that that extra fabric is actually sticking out and as flat as possible here at the top. So less fabric at the top. So you kind of just, I kind of folded it in, so there's less fabric at the top and more fabric at the bottom, and then I sewed it down. Because what I found previously, where I didn't do that and then I turned it out the other way around, there was a huge pucker. Like, it wasn't, I can't really show you very well with this, but the collar, so as you can see, this is the corner here. This is sort of the same size, same width as this ruffle all the way around. This is slightly narrower again because it gets caught in the corner. So you have to make sure you have as much fabric sticking out once you sew that down. Otherwise, I did have to actually unpick it, because originally it had actually kind of, it was kind of like that, where it had all been sewn down. So that's the only tricky part about that. And then there's obviously two corners per collar, that the front corner and the back corner, and then the other collar as well. So there's 4 altogether. And where I had done it, I had to redo 2 corners and do that again. But apart from that, it was a really nice, satisfying sew. It is bias bound as well on the neckband, which is really, really lovely. What else did I do? No, I think that's it. So next time I will be sizing down. I will be using my added ties and also the slim down sleeves, and also narrowing my collar for my next version. So that's that one, the Bakerloo dress by Nina Lee. And then the next dress I made, let me just pop this away. The next dress I made was the Be Curious dress for my daughters. So the Be Curious dress is my go-to dress for my girls, because it's nice and simple. You can have short sleeves or long sleeves, gathered sleeve heads, and it's a lined bodice with a gathered skirt. So it's really, really nice, really easy, and you can use so many different fabrics, which is great. So this is the Ellie and Mac Be Curious dress. So again, short sleeves, lined bodice. You can play with the lengths of these ruffles. You've got a short sleeve as well, and then it's just a button back. This goes from a size 12 months to big kids 12, and my daughters that use this at the moment are my 7-year-old and my 18-month-old. So I've got a lot more. I can use this for many more years to come. Very easy instructions, very easy to follow. And yeah, so that's from Ellie and Mac, and I will show you my versions. Oh, bear with me. I have made matching dresses for my girls in a cotton from Liberty Fabrics, which I bought from Little Miss So-and-so when they were doing a sale a couple of months ago. And I will show you here. I think it's called Floral. I'm not actually sure what it's called, but I think from far away it actually looks like a smock dress just because of the pattern of the fabric. But there you go. That's that print. Lovely navy background, sort of floral. And then I've just used prim snaps at the back there. I love the sound of these prim snaps. A fully lined bodice, the sleeves aren't lined, obviously. Fully lined bodice, long sleeves. You've got the gathered sleeve heads there, and then the elasticated cuffs at the bottom there, and then it's a gathered skirt. And I bought 3 meters. My 18-month-old uses 1 meter, and then my 7-year-old uses 2 meters. So it's exactly the same. It's just a larger version. Exactly the same, larger version. And I'll post a photo of my toddler Ava wearing hers. Very difficult to take photos of a toddler, but I'll show you hers. And then my 7-year-old Anya wearing hers. And then a photo of both of them wearing it together, just to show you that they're twinning. And so that's that. So that's 3 makes done. And then the other thing that I did make was a Tabitha drawstring dress, which is from this book here, Tilly and the Buttons Make It Simple. I have made loads of these Tabitha t-shirt dresses, but short sleeves for the summer. And now that it is cold, I've just made some long sleeve versions. So the first one I made was for my 15-year-old daughter Talia, and I'll show you the pattern. So basically it's just the Tabitha t-shirt, which is, bear with me, it's a Tabitha t-shirt first of all. And then, so this is the Tabitha t-shirt, crew neck, short sleeves, medium, 3/4 length sleeves or long sleeves, and it's a neckband. What is it called? You use, I don't know what you call this. What is the neckband made out of? Neckband fabric. What is it called? Oh my goodness. Everybody, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So this is, you can use the same fabric you use for the main dress, for the neckband, but I quite like using ribbing because it just sits well and it stretches very nicely and it just looks more professional. And the lovely thing about this this t-shirt, even though it is a knit, it doesn't have negative ease, it has positive ease. And the way she's described it is a classic t-shirt. I can't remember where she read that, but it says a classic t-shirt that's not too fitted and not too loose. So it's a perfect fit, and that is my ideal t-shirt. So when I say normally with knit patterns, they're sewn with a negative ease so that the stretch of the fabric then curves to molds to the curves of your body. But with this particular pattern, you have positive ease, only a little bit of positive ease, so it's not too clingy, but then again not too loose. So for example, I do the size 4, which is a UK 12, and the bust is 36, the waist is 30, and then the finished measurements, the bust is 37.5, so it's 1.5 inches of positive ease, and the waist is 37, so that's 7 inches of positive ease. You can obviously taper it down a bit at the waist if you want, and at the hip as well if you want, just to have a more fitted look. For me, I would only taper the waist, but I wouldn't taper just the bust, because that for me is fine. This particular pattern comes from a UK size 6, starts from a UK size 6, which is bust of 30, waist of 24, all the way up to a UK size 10, bust of 48, waist of 42. But they do have the extended size range, which I believe goes to a size 30 for all their patterns now. Although I'm not sure actually if the Tabitha does, because it's not an individual pattern as such, because it's in the book. I'm not too sure whether they have extended the ranges for the size ranges for the patterns that are in the books, because the book patterns aren't sold separately as a paper pattern or as a PDF. I'm not sure. I will have to check with you. So that's why I love this t-shirt, because of the positive ease. And then with the Tabitha t-shirt dress, all you do is you have the t-shirt pattern, and then you simply You have the t-shirt pattern, as I've just discussed with you previously, and then you're given instructions on how to draft your own skirt piece that you then attach to your t-shirt, your chosen t-shirt with the chosen sleeve length that you want, and the seam allowance you basically fold up to create your channel for your drawstring. And I love this. Now that I've made a long sleeve version, I'm going to make many more. My daughters also like it, so me and my 11-year-old are of similar sizes, although I have put on a bit of weight now, so we are similar sizes. And then my other daughter, my eldest daughter, is a bit bigger busted than me, so she goes up a size in terms of the bust, but everything else. Hello. Wow, that's amazing. Azana, do you want to say hello? I'm doing a vlog. Say hello. Okay, see you later.
Hello. Snowman.
Okay, say hello.
Snowman.
What have you made?
Cake.
Cake. Okay, then thank you, boys. Right, come close.
Snowman.
That is beautiful. Okay, should we show them quickly? Lovely. Right, see you later. Close the door for Mama, please. Thank you. Close the door. And the version I made is this one here. And I have made it in a cotton jersey. I believe it's an organic cotton jersey. I don't have a hanger, unfortunately. An organic cotton jersey from Sew Me Sunshine. And it's very festive. It's sort of a black background with leaves and flowers or berries. But from far away, it looks like Christmas lights to me, which I think is quite nice. I've used black ribbing for the neckband, and I've also used black ribbing for the cuff. The pattern is just the sleeve that you just hem, but I decided to put a cuff on mine, and then a nice little label that says self-care instructions, which is really nice. Drawstring wise, I've just used some black ribbon because I was out of drawstring, and it's a really, really nice fit on her. Let me post a photo of my daughter, 15-year-old Talia. So the only issues I had, it wasn't an issue with the pattern, it was just my own sewing. So the neckband, I don't know if you can tell, it's slightly thicker here and slightly narrower here, where I obviously didn't sew straight enough in terms of the seam allowance, but it's fine, you can't really notice it. Also, in terms of the cuff, the pattern piece I borrowed this cuff pattern piece from was the Pearl Cardigan by Tilly and the Buttons, but I found that I had to chop quite a bit off for it to have a more because the cuff has to be slightly smaller than the sleeve, so you have sort of that tightness around the wrist. So I had to just shorten the cuff for that, as in not shorten, make it smaller so it fit properly in there. Also, with regards to the drawstring at the waist, I have in the past used eyelets, but I found after a while they tend to come out, so I now just put some buttonholes in them. And so there's two options in the book, to either use eyelets or buttonholes. So I've gone for the buttonholes. Unfortunately, I forgot, I don't know if you can even see the buttonholes, I forgot to interface them. And then I thought, well, I've done the buttonholes, I could just put the interfacing on the back. But then I thought that would just come off, because obviously I can't redo the buttonhole on top of that. So I've just decided to leave the interfacing out this time around. Hopefully nothing will happen to those holes. But apart from all of that, it was a perfect make. So there you go. That is from Sew Me Sunshine. And that's that dress there. And then the last thing that I made was the, what is it called? It's the... I've lost my track. Is the Adrienne blouse by Friday Pattern Company, and that pattern is over here. Is the Adrienne blouse by the Friday Pattern Company. And this was my blog post for Little Miss So-and-so, who I'm a brand ambassador to, and I receive their All Set to Sew So Luxurious kit once a month, which includes a pattern, all the notions of fabric required, and a gift for... is it £65? For £65, including postage and packaging. And it's really, really cool, because every month you get to choose between a knit fabric and a woven fabric, knit pattern or a woven pattern. And once you've chosen that, you then get a choice of all their knit fabrics and all their woven fabrics. As I'm a So Luxurious subscriber, I get all the choices of Art Gallery fabrics, Lady McElroy, Atelier Brunette, Dashwood Studios, which is really, really lovely. And also in terms of the cost of the box, it's £65, but the fabric that I get is at least 3 to 4 meters per box, and at the designer price of between £18 to £22 a meter for the fabric. It's more than, the value you get for the box is definitely more than the value than the cost that you pay, which is really, really great. So I made, as I say, the Adrienne blouse, Friday Pattern Company. This goes from a size extra small to a size 4X, and it is considered an easy pattern. Size chart, extra small, bust of 32, waist of 24, all the way up to a 4X, bust of 53, waist of 46. Now the issue I had with this was this particular knit pattern has a lot of negative ease, and when I say a lot, I will tell you. So normally for Friday Pattern Company, I'm a medium, and the medium here is a bust of 36, 37 to a waist of 28, 29. Now that is, I'm much bigger than that anyway, but normally I am, like I say, I'm normally a medium. But let's just take medium, for example, 36 bust, waist of 28. So that's the body measurements. And when you go to the finish measurements, the medium is now a bust of 30, which is negative ease of 6 to 7 inches, and the waist is 28.5, which is a negative ease of negative ease, no, actually it's positive, yeah, negative ease of about 1.5 inches. So with the bust, I think that's huge. That's like so fitted. Again, so I decided to go up to a large. A large would be a bust of 38, waist of 30. And then the finished measurements would be a bust of 32. So that's 6 inches on the bust of negative ease. And then the waist is about an inch of negative ease on the waist. So bearing that in mind, I thought, as I say, with the Tilly and the Buttons tab of the t-shirt, I quite like my t-shirts to be fitted but not too clingy, because I don't like sort of my bra line showing or sort of lumps and bumps showing. So I'm much more comfortable with an ease, what would you call it, a relaxed fit on my knitted garments. So instead of going for a large, I went up to an extra large. So basically 2 sizes up from what my measurements were. And actually in hindsight, it was a bit too big. I mean, you know, but it's easily adjustable because it is a knit dress. I could just take it down at the side seam. So I will show you my version right now. So this is my version here, in a beautiful floral cotton, organic cotton jersey by by Art Gallery Fabrics, which retails at about £22 a metre, and I believe I got 3.5 meters of this. So that in itself is your value of £65, even without the notions, the pattern and the free gift that I got. So these are the billowy sleeves. It's got elasticated It's got elasticated shoulders here, and then you've got a what is this called, a neckband. The front piece and the back piece are exactly the same. So the neck, what would you call it? The neckline is the same at the back and the front, and then I've just put a little label that says handmade there. The cuffs are elasticated as well, and I've literally just cut off the bodice where I wanted it and added a gathered skirt. And what can I say about this? So as I say, I went for the extra large, which was far too big, but the sleeves I kept at I can't even remember now. I think I kept the sleeves at a medium or a large. And so, because a friend of mine, Adele, said that she had made it and she thought the sleeves were perfect, but she would need to size up on the bodice. So I've kept the sleeves at large and the body at extra large, but next time I will just trim it down to the large. Children are singing in the background. So there you go. Let me pop some photos of myself wearing it. I guess in hindsight you could also add some drawstrings, some waist ties to cinch it in at the waist a bit, so you get more of a waist definition. And oh, that's what I was going to say about the pattern. It's a very simple pattern, and pattern pieces are literally, if I can show you the pattern pieces. I can't show you. Okay, I'll show you the pattern pieces. You get the sleeve pattern, so that's one piece, and then the front and the back are the same piece, so that's 2 pieces, and then you get the neckband. So it's a 3-piece pattern. It's a 3-piece pattern. Can you tell them to keep quiet, please? It's a 3-piece pattern. Does that make sense? So it's very, very easy, plus the skirt. So it's four pattern pieces, which is really, really great. And oh yes, so as I say, I cut out the, oh no, I didn't. I'm terribly sorry. I cut out the XXL. I cut out the XXL, but really I could go down to an XL, maybe even a large. But what I quite like about these pattern pieces is when you cut them down, if you need to trim down, you can easily just trim it down, because all the pieces, all the lines of the patterns are in the actual piece that I've cut. Normally, you know, when you're cutting out a pattern, some of the lines go across each other, so then you can't trim them down again without having to retrace or get it reprinted. So for this, all the pattern lines are on here, so I can just literally cut them down myself. Also, there is a big jump between the extra small and the extra large. It's all like, I don't know if you can see, it's all kind of like a centimetre and a bit difference. And then there's a big jump between the extra large and the XXL, which is almost an inch. So really I could get rid of this inch here, which means it would be 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. It would be 4 inches, because 1 inch on either side of the, would it be? 1 inch on either side of the front bodice, and 1 inch on either side of the back bodice. So that's 4 inches. And I think that would be perfect then. And that's about it really. What else did I want to say? Oh yes, the shoulder, did I pop up some photos? If I haven't, I'll pop up a photo now. The elastic at the shoulders, if you wanted it a bit more gathered, you just shorten the elastic so it's a bit more gathered there and it's a bit more secure on your shoulder. Mine is slightly it's not loose, but it could do with a bit more tightening, I think. So I would just reduce 1 centimeter on the elastic to make it a bit more secure on my shoulders. Apart from that lovely dress, I just think that at this time of the year I probably wouldn't wear it, because I feel quite, my chest and my back feel quite exposed, because it is quite cold. And also I have short hair, so my hair doesn't cover the back of my back, and so it's probably more sort of a spring summer outfit for me. And also with the puffy sleeves, it's very difficult to get that under a cardigan or even a coat. But there you go, very happy with that. And I think that's all that I've made. The other thing that I did have planned for this month was the heather blazer, which I have lengthened, which I will be lengthening and turning into basically a formal winter coat. So I have just cut that out, but that is a blog post for Jenny Stitches Fabrics, and she has already mapped out the blogs that she will be releasing next month. And so my one will probably fall into January, and so there's no real rush to get that done, although it is cut out, and I am hoping to get it done over the next couple of days, just for me to wear over the Christmas period, rather than leaving it till later. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Just to say, I will be doing my my plans vlog for December, hopefully next week. And then December the 1st, I will be attempting my first Vlogmas. So 25 days of vlogging. It will be quite short, I think, and I'll try not to edit as much as I can. And I will be opening 3 advent boxes, advent calendars, one from Fabric Godmother, which is amazing. So that's sort of the luxury brand, because I think that one was like £99. Oof. I just dread thinking about that. And then I have the Think Pink advent calendar, and I believe that was about £60-ish. And then I also have the Kylie and the Machines advent calendar, which is about £60 as well. So I'll be opening all those 3 boxes every day for you. I will also be chatting about sewing related things, the garments that I have got on the go during the month of December, which won't be that much because obviously it's December and it's lots of family time, lots of people coming to visit. But I will also be chatting about my family life. So for those of you that don't know, I do have a large family. I have 8 children, and the eldest is 15 and the youngest is 18 months. And I think from when I did mention it, lots of people were curious and interested to see how our family life works, in terms of, and I also home educate, in terms of education, in terms of sort of daily routine, in terms of our shopping bills, what car we drive, you know, that sort of thing, and how we manage with, you know, children's extracurricular activities. So hopefully we'll be sharing a little bit of my family life with you every day on my daily Vlogmas vlogs. In the meantime, thank you everybody for watching. Please do subscribe if you don't already subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye-bye.